123 to 120 on Rui Hachimura's three-pointer at the buzzer. But the main discussion after the game and around the NBA was LeBron. For the first time in 18 years, LeBron failed to score in double figures, a streak that had lasted an NBA record 1,297 consecutive games. LeBron had 8 points in 36 minutes. He only made 4 of 17 shots, including 0 for 5 on three-pointers, and had no free throw attempts. LeBron did have 11 assists. Number 11 set up Hachimura for his game-winning shot. LeBron had the ball on the Lakers' final possession, but he saw Hachimura open in the corner. To put this in perspective, Michael Jordan is the only player close to LeBron with 866 straight games scoring in double figures. That 1,297 might never be broken. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Happy holidays!
This holiday season, KBLA Talk 1580 wishes you and yours joy, peace, and prosperity. As we celebrate with family and friends, we're already looking forward to an exciting first quarter, packed with must-attend events to kick off the new year just right. In January, join us for our inaugural Brotherhood Brunch, bringing together community leaders, change makers, and everyday people for inspiration and connection. February means it's time for our signature Black History Month luncheon, a powerful celebration you won't want to miss. And in March, Women's History Month, we're once again hosting our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium and Luncheon, addressing the issues that matter most inside our community. From all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, happy holidays. Stay tuned for more details on these incredible upcoming events. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice, your community, your power.
Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA, Talk 1580, download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. It's Fat Meat Fridays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. I know that you're in rush hour traffic trying to get to that weekend. And we're grateful that you're joining us on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show in Season 2. This is our Season 2 launch this week. I'm particularly proud that on Fridays, the host of our show is none other than Gina Towns. Gina Towns is the creator and the director and executive producer of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. She has completely revamped the show, for which I am extremely proud. She is a graduate of Hampton University, a graduate of Princeton Theological Seminary, a social activist, and I'm just so grateful for the work that she does to make this show and so many other things happen. Gina, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Hi, Jesse Jackson Jr. How are you today?
I'm doing great. You doing all right?
I'm doing okay.
All right, fantastic. It's just cold here in Chicago.
Yeah, well, it's Chicago.
Yeah, I heard that. Had a wonderful visit yesterday, last evening, with Reverend Sharpton, who flew into town to spend a few private moments with Reverend Jackson, and I was particularly excited. Prayed with him, prayed with Dad, prayed with a small group of friends. When my father hears voices that he recognizes, he gets very animated. He opens his eyes, he squeezes their hand, and he tries to talk, and we all stop to hear that one sentence or two that might come out. But I am so grateful that Dad is with us. I am so grateful that Reverend Sharpton took time out of his extremely busy schedule. I think he also had this morning a funeral to preach and then fly back to New York for his own show. Ashley Sharpton was here, and Dominique Sharpton, who was running the Sharpton radio show yesterday. We're so grateful to the Sharpton family for that private time. Gina, I have a question that I wanted to raise with you in this first segment about serious buyer's remorse. I looked on social media yesterday and again this morning, and I know that the clip may not be ready, but that's fine. Let's just talk about it on this side of the break, and maybe after the break we'll have a clip. I saw a Somalian press conference in Minnesota. United States citizens held a press conference sometime last year endorsing the candidacy of Donald John Trump. Today, Donald John Trump has, through the Immigration Customs Enforcement Agency, descended upon that community and is threatening to, I don't want to say export, he's deport. He's threatening to deport the entire Somalian community, suggesting that their immigration status in the United States is not warranted. And I'm just thinking in this moment about the buyer's remorse associated with that attack upon Somalians who did not support Kamala Harris, did not support the Democratic Party. Somehow they found hope in the rhetoric of Donald Trump, and they must have a profound sense of buyer's remorse today. Gina, your thoughts?
Well, that clip is ready if you'd like to go to it.
Oh, let's go to it. Do we have
do
time?
it.
Do we have time? Okay, let's do it.
Again, my name is Faisal Deri, and we're here gathered today with the community leaders, business leaders, and youth leaders from the Somali community and from the Muslim community in Minnesota. And we're gathered here today to fully support and endorse President Trump.
Let me make the distinction or the delineation. I'm a foundational Black American. My mama Black, my daddy Black. I did not come from any place other than here. I don't go to Jamaica and speak on what's happening in the grill. I do not go to Ghana and speak what's happening in Ghana. I do not go to Nigeria and talk about what's happening in Lagos because it's none of my business. It is not my place. When you come over here from the Caribbean, from Africa, from South America, whichever type of black that you are, you get an immigrant experience. You do not have 400 years of chattel slavery hanging over your head. You do not know anything about Jim Crow, and you do not understand what is happening to us directly. You catch a little bit of an incident here and there because you look like us. So I'm gonna need everybody who's not a foundational Black American to stay the hell out of my conversation, understand it's not your place, and realize that we have things to do.
Man,
Gina. Gina.
Well,
Well.
well,
Well.
well. So let's start with the commentator for how we addressed that right there. And in fact, I think we may even need to take a break after.
Yeah,
we get out and back.
I think we need to stew on that one for a minute. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. When we come forward, we're going to have a conversation about Somalians in Minnesota who endorsed Donald John Trump.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 remembers Robin Ayers on the 1-year anniversary of her passing. 1 year ago this week, we lost a remarkable and vibrant voice. Robin Ayers touched countless lives through her passion, her love, her service, and her smile, which you could see through the radio. KBLA Talk 1580 honors her memory and celebrates the legacy she left behind. Robin, your spirit lives on in every conversation, in every connection, and in every one of us, inspired by your voice. Gone, but never forgotten. KBLA Talk 1580, where voices matter.
I'm missing you. Tell me why the road turns. I'm missing you. Tell me why the road turns.
250 years ago, a promise was made to connect families and friends near and far. And during the holidays, that promise is more important than ever. That's why USPS is building a better network to meet your needs with timely deliveries, easy and affordable ways to ship, and everything you need to make your season full of holiday cheer. Our purpose is delivering your peace of mind, knowing your love will arrive, bringing joy to all. The United States Postal Service. Learn more at USPS.com/holidays.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. It's Fat Meat Fridays with our co-host, Gina Towns. Gina, welcome forward to the show.
Thank you, Jesse. How are you?
Gene, I'm doing great. But listen, check this out about those Somalians in Minnesota who had that press conference
Yeah,
promoting the candidacy of Donald Trump. And that commentator, Gina.
yeah. And if you are just joining us on radio or even in our social media feed, we listened to a clip before we came forward here where some of our brothers and sisters from around the world who are in the United States endorsed Donald Trump in the last election. And the commentator from that clip talked about how our experience is just different in the United States. We love all of our brothers and sisters around the world. We try to love everybody, even those who don't love us. And I know that Dr. Franklin, who is waiting to come on in the studio, will be glad to hear love for one another, because we are certainly going to talk about that. But our experience is just different. I have a really good friend, several from other areas around the world. But in particular, one of my friends is Jamaican, and I shared with him because he had shared with me. He says, "You know, you all are nothing like I thought when I moved here because of the propaganda that had been propagated about African Americans for decades in other parts of the world, where that we were lazy." We didn't want to work, hard to educate, whatever you name. And I said, well, and your accent allowed you to be able to have opportunities that perhaps some other African Americans would not be able to have, but you fill a quota. And so that is that unfortunate piece that divides and separates those of us who come from the continent of Africa and found ourselves in different places, be it the Caribbean or Haiti or the United States of America, but certainly from Somalia. I just remember there being famine in Somalia as I was growing up, and I just don't know that I would speak about anybody being president who has spoken about Black people the way that Donald Trump has.
I'm disappointed because when you think about their representative in Congress, who is one of Congress's most progressive members, Ilhan Omar, a candidate that I support, that we support, that needs to be supported, who receives these attacks from Donald Trump on nearly a daily basis. These are constituents of Ilhan Omar who supported Kamala Harris and the Joe Biden administration. Of course, she had criticisms and critiques of our own internal politics within the Democratic Party, which I respect. But these constituents within the Somalian community, business people, Muslims, and others, young people, the particular endorser suggested, a couple of dozen of them were standing there when they had this press conference back last year, announcing their support for Donald John Trump. And they weren't apparently paying attention, or they didn't hear or understand the legitimate grievances that African Americans have here in the United States. And now Donald Trump is sending the Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement Administration to Minnesota with a commitment to the MAGA base that he plans to round up as many of them as possible and detain them and possibly even deport them back to their country of origin, back to Somalia, putting all of us in a very, very unique position, or a challenging position, to, one, fight for their human rights as U.S. citizens. But they were on the wrong side of the very process that Governor Tim Walz and Ilhan Omar, the political leadership of that state, that was literally standing between them and potential deportation.
Absolutely.
I mean, the irony of that is so stark. But the commentator, and I know that we're going to be bringing forward our guest in just a moment, Dr. Robert Franklin, the commentator was particularly insightful in that those of us who have an experience through pre-Reconstruction, the construction of the United States, the Civil War, the deconstruction of the United States, the Reconstruction period of the United States, Jim Crow, all the way up to Brown versus the Board of Education, and all the way up to the election of Donald John Trump. We have a history as African Americans that needs to be respected by our brothers and sisters from the Caribbean who come to the United States seeking a better way of life, who do not have a full appreciation that we have a shared history on how Somalians ended up in starvation, how the Caribbean ended up populated with Afro-Caribbeans in Cuba, in Jamaica, in South America, and what that process was. And understanding that process should be important to your geopolitical reference. I know if my father were capable, he'd be standing today with Somalians who are arguing and fighting to stay in the United States of America. I know he would be there because that's just who my dad is, and that's just the kind of heart that he has. But on the other hand, he would be facing tremendous criticism. Like, Reverend, they did not vote for Kamala Harris. Why are you standing there with them?
Well, here's the thing about grace, because there are so many people who have buyer's remorse. And a lot of people, and I have always cautioned people about being one-trick ponies when it comes to politics. You cannot vote one issue and say, I'm going to put all of, my faith in this particular promise, because you won't hear it again. And that's one of those things. If you were upset about this or that, and you felt like it was not being addressed, you can't say, well, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump because they won't address this particular issue. Black people in this country, when you have been here through all of what you just laid out in a linear historical timeline, understand that we have to vote our collective interest just to stay free, just to have the right to vote, not to have Black jobs, whatever that is.
If you think about it, it's the Congressional Black Caucus that stood on the well of the House of Representatives that demanded the U.S. State Department and immigration policy include Somalians and Ethiopians and South Africans and Nigerians and others, and to ignore the history of that thinking that made their new lives possible in America possible, I find to be of great irony.
Maybe we'll just close that on it. You are because I am.
Dr. Robert Franklin.
Dr. Robert Franklin.
A leading theologian, author, academician, known for his work on moral leadership, serving as the former president of Morehouse College and currently holding the James T. and Berta R. Laney Chair of Moral Leadership at Emory University's Candler School of Theology. Also a senior advisor to Emory's president, is our very special guest on Fat Meat Fridays and the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Dr. Franklin, welcome forward to the show.
Thank you a great deal. Good to be with you both, and thank you for this enlightening and provocative dialogue you've just shared.
Did we get in trouble, Dr. Franklin?
I think so. Here in Georgia, John Lewis would say it was good trouble.
Oh, I love having Dr. Franklin on.
Dr. Franklin, let me ask you this question. Layering, which no one can do better than you, our history against the backdrop, as the commentator said in that video, of the new immigrant experience for Black and brown people who come to the United States, not looking towards the slave ship, not looking towards the experience that we've experienced through these various phases, pre-American history, before the Declaration of Independence, and certainly before the Constitution, and all that has transpired to achieve a 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, to elect a Black caucus in the Congress of the United States, to sensitize Americans to the promise, the Statue of Liberty, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses. They come here having not been in your class, Dr. Franklin, having understood the history. And I guess it would be Kendrick Lamar who would say, in a real sense, at least historically, and historical understanding, they just not like us.
What a lesson this is, and I think a wake-up call to immigrant populations in this country who have perhaps resisted joining forces with other groups who love democracy and who are working to preserve and extend the blessings of democracy, but have been in some ways seduced by the promises of of MAGA and other extremist parties. So it's a wake-up call. And I think also a wake-up call to peoples of color throughout the United States and working class communities of all ethnic, racial varieties to now come together, build coalition, and let's work together on one hand to resist this awful authoritarian encroachment upon normal American moral values, push back against the authoritarian playbook, and secondly, to begin to prepare for the next chapter, and to do that in cooperation with greater understanding of each other. And I think, as Gina said so well, perhaps there is buyer's remorse. Perhaps there is an awakening that will move through a grief process to realize they've been lied to realize that the promises have been broken, and it is now time to make new friends. And let's prepare to march together and restore good democracy.
Jesse, it's Fat Meat Friday, Dr. Franklin. And so, I like to dig a little bit more. There's something I want to throw into the skillet that you said. You used the word that people come here, and you described it with the word seduction. And, when we think about Fat Meat Friday, the word seduction leads to the fall of man for those who have that faith. We are seduced by things that we think we need, that we think we want, things that we think we know. And I dare say that that's one of the problems is people think they know the United States before they get here. We think, I don't go anywhere out of this country thinking that I know. And I try to live each day like I don't know. There are experiences that I have, but because I don't know what the next day holds, I have to use those experiences to try to make my way through this world. But unfortunately, people probably do come here thinking they have an understanding about what has really transpired in our country, and the seduction of America alone with the promise of capitalism brings people here with a certain attitude, perhaps.
No, I think you're absolutely right. And once again, it's a matter of reading critically, of listening, of studying daily events, and drawing conclusions, or at least formulating hypotheses about what does this mean? Who are the people who are in charge, who treat immigrants, who treat refugees, who treat children in this way? It is immoral, it is ungodly, and contrary, again, to the best aspirations of the American dream. And those words from the great poem by Emma Lazarus, etched onto the Statue of Liberty, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses. That is an invitation to the world. And we've become a great nation because we have open doors. And now we're slamming them shut. We are burning the bridges with allies. And so it's an awakening and a reckoning period once again for all of us.
I think that I think you're absolutely right, and I find it fascinating that immigrant groups of color tend to come to the United States and they set up their own communities. It's in San Francisco. There's a Chinatown. There's a Chinatown in Chicago. There's a Chinese section in New York. There's an Irish community, historic Irish community here in the city of Chicago. There's Little Italy here in Chicago. There's a Little Italy in Los Angeles. These cities, these immigrants come to the United States. They protect first their culture, their sense of home. They have the freedom to do so in our country. And I think that Somalians and Nigerians and others come here with the same cultural model, if you will, to find themselves in community, speaking languages and sharing cultures, reflecting upon how they made it over, if you will. But then there is this reality that our history, the one that they teach at Ellis Island on your way into the United States, is not the same history that has actually responsible for the United States becoming what it is. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Our very special guest is Dr. Robert Franklin, an Emory professor and a distinguished theologian. and political analyst. More when we come forward after the break on KBLA Talk 1580.
The biggest names, the best conversations. You're riding with Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Chicago's Black Mayor Brandon Johnson is rejecting an alternative budget from city council members that leaves out a corporate tax.
I think it's pretty straightforward here.
Critics say the tax unfairly targets small businesses, but Johnson insists it's staying. His team will meet with aldermen this weekend to discuss next steps. Reported hate crimes in Los Angeles County are down 1%, but still at their second highest level in 44 years. The latest data shows spikes among Black residents, LGBTQ+ people, Muslims, Jews, Latinos, and others, especially in schools and incidents tied to Middle East conflicts. And Michael Jordan is set to testify in a federal antitrust trial against NASCAR. The NBA legend co-owns 23XI Racing and claims NASCAR's new deal limits team revenue. Jordan's team refused to sign it, calling it unfair to smaller teams. NASCAR denies any wrongdoing. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Compassion sponsorship means food, healthcare, education, and most of all, being known, loved, and protected. There are thousands of kids waiting over a year. End their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Text the word radio to 83393.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
One of the more significant milestones in LeBron's 23-year NBA career came to an end Thursday night in Toronto. The Lakers beat Toronto 123-120 on Rui Hachimura's three-pointer at the buzzer, but the main discussion after the game and around the NBA was LeBron. For the first time in 18 years, LeBron failed to score in double figures, a streak that had lasted an NBA record 1,297 consecutive games. LeBron had 8 points in 36 minutes. He only made 4 of 17 shots, including 0 for 5 on three-pointers, and had no free throw attempts. LeBron did have 11 assists. Number 11 set up Hachimura for his game-winning shot. LeBron had the ball on the Lakers' final possession, but he saw Hachimura open in the corner. To put this in perspective, Michael Jordan is the only player close to LeBron with 866 straight games scoring in double figures. That 1,297 might never be broken. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
This holiday season, KBLA Talk 1580 wishes you and yours joy, peace, and prosperity. As we celebrate with family and friends, we're already looking forward to an exciting first quarter, packed with must-attend events to kick off the new year just right. In January, join us for our inaugural Brotherhood Brunch, bringing together community leaders, change makers, and everyday people for inspiration and connection. February means it's time for our signature Black History Month luncheon, a powerful celebration you won't want to miss. And in March, Women's History Month, we're once again hosting our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium and Luncheon, addressing the issues that matter most inside our community. From all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, happy holidays. Stay tuned for more details on these incredible upcoming events. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice, your community, your power.
If you're an adult in need of an accredited high school diploma, the Los Angeles Public Library can help. You can earn one for free in as few as 5 months online with 24/7 access. You also get a personal academic coach plus special training focused on 9 in-demand industries, as well as a resume and cover letter to advance your career. Visit the website at lapl.org/diploma. That's lapl.org/diploma.
The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in more places that could expose you more to identity theft. But LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second, If your identity is stolen, our US-based restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Don't face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or financial losses alone. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
The only thing between you and your best self is a start button. This Cyber Monday, explore the world with Nordic Track. From the peaks of Peru to the streets of Paris, every workout moves you somewhere new with iFit trainers leading the way. The equipment's amazing, smooth, quiet, and those screens make it all feel real. Ready to start your next workout adventure with the #1 treadmill brand in the US? Shop NordicTrack.com for Cyber Monday savings. Nordic Track. Train anywhere, explore everywhere.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. This is Happy Fridays, our very special co-host of the program and founder, none other than Gina Towns, the creator and producer of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. We are celebrating our second anniversary on the radio, 1 full year on the radio, and particularly grateful to KBLA for giving us this opportunity. Our very special guest in this hour is distinguished Emory Professor Dr. Robert Franklin, and also the former president of Morehouse College. Dr. Franklin, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you so much. Great to be with you today.
Dr. Franklin, you know what just hit me after listening to you in the last segment? I thought about why would my dad go to Minnesota? Why would he go to meet with the Somalian community? He would go there to share with them this history. That's why he would go to their defense, because of our commonality as Africans and African Americans. And as Gina would say, the unique understanding that African Americans have, because we really have a community of broad shoulders, given what we know and understand about America. And he would go to convince the Somalians and understand that they made a bad choice. And then he would work to bring them into the fold by encouraging them going forward to listen to the leadership of our community. It's not just here and up talking. It knows what it's talking about. And going forward, let's move forward together, because we do need their numbers in the state of Minnesota. We do need their numbers nationally in order to stop authoritarianism. Dr. Franklin?
I'm so glad that we are remembering your dad and celebrating his extraordinary global moral ministry in this way. And I think you're absolutely right. He would go with olive branches in hand, extending invitations to dialogue and cooperation, to building solidarity across the human spectrum. So it wasn't simply about a color-based or race-based movement or faith-based. It was so broad and so inclusive that everyone was welcome. And so I hope that our dear friends in the Somali community of Minnesota appreciate how much we love them and how much we stand with them in this time of challenge, and how the door is always open for reconciliation for those who may have distanced themselves from some of our struggles for democracy and justice. And let me just conclude in the spirit of honoring the Honorable Jesse Jackson Sr. I was with him in 1984. It's before many here were born. I was a graduate student at the University of Chicago. I was a part of a mission, something called the Black Theology Project, led by James Cone, Reverend Calvin Butts, Reverend Jeremiah Wright, and on, a number of leaders. And we gathered in Havana, Cuba. And while we were there reading papers about the power of faith, especially of Christian faith, to transform attitudes, dismantle Jim Crow segregation, the Cuban leaders wanted to know that story. But we wanted to know how they were trying to eradicate racism. And Reverend Jackson happened to be there as a part of, I think, a 3 or 4 island nation stop during his presidential campaign. He discovered we were there. We initially were not together. And he asked our group of 20 to join his group. So suddenly we were tagging along for 3 days. We ate real well when we joined his group because he was a guest of the president of the country. We went to the White House in Havana, Cuba. And he was building those bridges. And for me, as a young graduate student and seminarian, trying to understand the power of religious faith to change hearts and minds, that's deep change. We had been focused on what we call high impact, changing law and policy. Civil Rights Act 1964, Voting Rights Act 1965, high impact, changes law. But then Dr. King said, and Jesse Jackson said, we got to have a deep impact to change the hearts and minds of people. And you do that through presence, through touching, through trusting, praying together, and eating together.
Dr. Franklin, someone sent me a picture of that moment.
Oh my.
The other day. I'm trying to scroll through my feed to find it right now. Gina?
Yes, yes. It was an extraordinary moment. Not many have talked about this. One Jamaican-American theologian, Noel Erskine, wrote a brief article about that visit because, you know, national, international press picked up on it. People Google Jesse Jackson and Fidel Castro go to church together. It was really Reverend Jackson that brought Fidel Castro in Cuba to the downtown church, cathedral, for he said, according to Mr. Castro, the first time in over 20 plus years. So Reverend Jackson was really crossing some bridges, and that's what moral leaders do. Moral leaders invite us to become better versions of ourselves. And they cross boundaries. They even transgress at times, breaking the normal rules and norms in order to create change and set people free.
Most amazing. You very often, Dr. Franklin, leave me speechless because you hit the issues so well, and then you undergird the issue in an explanation that everyone has to stop and think about. Because as you were talking, and even before, we came back from the break, I thought how much better we are when we are united. The tool of division, that is one of those seductive tools, because you think that you're going to get something and get ahead of someone else, and you will be better off in that. And that just simply is not true most of the time. And even if it lasts for only a little while, in the end, we still are that much better. I would offer that the African American experience in the United States qualifies us to be the best friend of anybody in the world. Why? Because we understand it. Even in this hour, you have to see us trying to fight for what we already have achieved, that we had to fight for, that our uncles, grandmothers, cousins had to fight for. And we find ourselves in that same situation with having to struggle to even be counted in the moral arc of justice.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that. I just want to remind, as a footnote to your comment about this global stage where the peoples of the world, especially Pan-African people, can come together. That I was just recently reading about what happened in London in 1900, the first Pan-African Conference. And Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois was there and wrote an important speech. People should Google that. But there were a couple of other notable African Americans with it, because there's African leaders, Caribbean leaders, and African American. Anna Julia Cooper, a name that we should all know, but some do not know, that Dr. Anna Julia Cooper was among the first African-American women to earn a PhD from the Sorbonne, the University of Paris. And then Bishop Alexander Walters was present. So the AME Zion Church leadership was present for that Pan-African conference. And we need to remember there's a global audience for the work that we are doing.
I'm particularly proud of that work, and I'm also particularly proud of the contribution, Dr. Franklin, that you have made to that global perspective and that global work. And I am confident, just as confident as I am sitting here, that Martin Luther King Jr. At age 39, when he was taken away from us, had also, by the way, a Nobel laureate, had also given consideration to the diaspora and the dynamic that the separation of families ultimately had for all of us. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. It's Fat Meat Fridays with Gina Towns and our very special guest, Bob Franklin. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
In California, all workers have rights, no matter their immigration status. If you or a family member were detained by federal immigration authorities and did not receive your final paycheck, contact the Labor Commissioner's office. You can file a claim even if you left California or the U.S. Call 833-526-4636 from the U.S. or outside the country 001-833-526-4636. Document wage theft and report it to the Labor Commissioner's office.
Cedars-Sinai is helping shape the future of Los Angeles, working alongside local communities and showing up with resources and healthcare programs that open doors for people across the city. Through career development programs like Next Gen Healthcare Pathways and partnerships with over 200 organizations like Black Men in White Coats, Cedars-Sinai is educating and empowering future healthcare leaders right here in LA. With access to education, mentorships, and hands-on experiences, we can build a healthier Los Angeles together. Cedars-Sinai, here for LA.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Established in 2020 during a time of deep racial unrest across our state and country, the Black Freedom Fund was created to make sure that leaders and organizations working to support Black communities and build power have the resources they need to stay in the fight for the long haul. We believe that those closest to the issues impacting our communities know best how to solve them. That's why in just the last 5 years, we've granted more than $45 million to over 200 grassroots organizations across California. That is the largest collective investment in Black organizing in history, and we're just getting started. We are clear-eyed and committed, more now than ever, to our people, our power, and our possibility. Join us in creating a future where Black people harness their full power to shape their lives and realize a just world for all. Learn more at fundblackfreedom.org. That's fundblackfreedom.org. The Black Freedom Fund is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Our very special guest in this hour is none other than Dr. Bob Franklin, eminent professor of theology and historian at Emory University, former president of Morehouse College. Dr. Franklin, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thanks very much, Jesse. Good to be with you.
We're on Fat Meat Fridays with our co-host, Gina Towns. Reverend Towns?
Don't start with me today, John. Do not start.
Dr. Franklin, let me ask you a quick question, if I can. I don't know how quick the answer is, but you have a great segment here from which to convey this message. It seems to me that the country is at a moral turning point in terms of its leadership and the character of its leadership. I remember making a presentation to one of your classes at Emory University, for which I was profoundly grateful that you invited me. And I talked about the moral structure of the Constitution itself, that we, the people, get to determine all the way from someone who sits on their couch and does nothing or just makes deals, all the way to someone who in our time and space we expect to have the power to feed the hungry, to clothe the naked, to liberate the captive, to grant pardon and reprieve to those who've been incarcerated. A very, very different character trait. But it seems somewhat objectively there in the Constitution, but it's subjective when we go into the voting booth and we don't vote for our moral interests. We vote our economic interests. Help us here, Dr. Franklin.
I think it is so important for a free society to continue to carry on a robust conversation about moral leadership, about what we expect from moral leaders and how we can go forward. What our expectations happen to be. We lose ground when we fail to have that conversation. And like the way David Brooks has put it, we often lose some of our literacy for even talking about integrity, courage, humility, empathy. And I recently heard, Tavis talking to Cornel West about this loss of a robust language about empathy in our culture. I mean, the very impulse to care about others and their well-being, to be able to imagine and put ourselves in the moccasins of others, is now being denigrated as a vulnerability or a sign of weakness. When Jesus, Prophet Muhammad, Moses, all of the great spiritual teachers and leaders assign this notion of service to others, of other regarding love and concern, is at the top of the pyramid. This is the pinnacle of the moral life. So we have, I think, an obligation to keep the conversation going to hold leaders accountable. And it means also, and I love what you did in my class, and both juxtaposing or placing alongside each other insights from sacred scripture and insights from the U.S. Constitution. That was the genius of Martin Luther King. And he said, this is rooted in the Bible, in Hebrew Bible, in the New Testament. It's also rooted in the U.S. Constitution. And we need to, and I hope that you will continue to be a voice in the public square, in government and beyond, helping us to be reminded of the importance of those two sources. What we expect from our leaders, we can expect more, and we should hold them accountable for justice. And in class, I talk about justice in 3 simple words that everyone can remember. Justice is restoring right relationships. Restoring right relationships. So even when people don't want to use the language of reparations, some folk are comfortable with it, some are not. Some think it's a radioactive term. Some think it's actually a promising term to get started. It's accurate and historically rooted. But I think that to restore right relationships, however you interpret, is the place to start our conversation now in 2025 about moral leadership, about good government, a good society, and a good future.
Gina?
So it's Fat Meat Friday. And I dug a nugget out of what you just said for us to put in the skillet. And that word is empathy. And most recently, the word empathy came under fire. It got on the front stage. And I commented on a post not too long ago about the word empathy, because empathy is the word that allows us to open our heart and put ourselves in other people's shoes, to take our experiences to say, I've experienced something like that, or wow, I would not want to experience that, so that I can empathize. Whereas sympathy almost dictates that I look from on high, look down low to say, oh, woe is you. And while that's not what we mean when we use the word sympathy, particularly when it comes to people losing a loved one. So we don't want to confuse that. But when we think about the difference between the word empathy and sympathy, we find that we interchange them quite frequently. They are very different. And one is an enabler and one is just an observer.
Yes. I think this is an important language distinction, even in the language. And I love the way you're highlighting this, Gina, because I think people will think about this now. Why do we have 2 separate words to refer to this work of the heart? Is a simple way to think about the Greek and Latin roots of empathy and sympathy is pathos. And pathos refers to emotion, the work of the heart. And empathy is kind of entering into, through your heart, the life of the other. Whereas, as you say, sympathy is standing apart, but standing with, to the extent that you can, and often looking down at. So I have sympathy, but you don't really enter into my own heart. I hope if things work well for you, is what many people in the American society are perhaps looking at, as we see so many of our immigrant friends and colleagues struggling at this time. But the empathy said we're going to be in the streets, standing with them, protecting them, and giving them shelter.
Dr. King said that this story of the men and the man who had fallen to robbery on the Jericho Road, that the Samaritan had the choice of sympathizing with him, flick a coin to him and say, be on your way. The fact that he went the extra mile and bandaged him up, took him to a local hospital, put him in a local care facility, and promised to pay when he came back. Dr. King said in his heart, the foundation of his life was an altruistic care that went far beyond flinging a coin to a beggar, but engaging humanity. Dr. Franklin, we're grateful to have you on our show. Can you just share with us one more thing, your landmark work on moral leadership? We have about 30 seconds before we have to come forward.
Yes, I'm so glad you mentioned this notion of altruism, because in this season, particularly as we think about the meaning of Advent, the meaning of Christmas, certainly in the Christian community and beyond, it is a time of embracing light, of peace, of sharing and joy and gift giving. Perhaps the nation can pause in this season and open its heart, feel the pain and suffering going on in our nation. Reread those biblical stories that talk about the journey of a family who are refugees and seeking safety. And let us expand ourselves to embrace others. So the world is equally balanced, good and evil. Yes.
So grateful that you spent this time with us. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show when we come back on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Chicago's Black Mayor Brandon Johnson is rejecting an alternative budget from city council members that leaves out a corporate tax.
I think it's pretty straightforward here.
Critics say the tax unfairly targets small businesses, but Johnson insists it's staying. His team will meet with aldermen this weekend to discuss next steps. Reported hate crimes in Los Angeles County are down 1%, but still at their second highest level in 44 years. The latest data shows spikes among Black residents, LGBTQ+ people, Muslims, Jews, Latinos, and others, especially in schools and incidents tied to Middle East conflicts. And Michael Jordan is set to testify in a federal antitrust trial against NASCAR. The NBA legend co-owns 23XI Racing and claims NASCAR's new deal limits team revenue. Jordan's team refused to sign it, calling it unfair to smaller teams. NASCAR denies any wrongdoing. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Compassion sponsorship means food, healthcare, education, and most of all, being known, loved, and protected. There are thousands of kids waiting over a year. End their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Text the word radio to 83393.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
One of the more significant milestones in LeBron's 23-year NBA career came to an end Thursday night in Toronto. The Lakers beat Toronto 123-120 on Rui Hachimura's three-pointer at the buzzer, but the main discussion after the game and around the NBA was LeBron. For the first time in 18 years, LeBron failed to score in double figures, a streak that had lasted an NBA record 1,296